Welcome back to the BraveCo podcast, men. Hey, before we get started, I want to ask you one quick question. Do you have a really clear plan to build a strong, capable, powerful leader that God's called you to be? If you don't, we have the course for you. It's our BraveCo Foundations of Masculinity and our Sexuality and Relationship course. These are free courses that we've created that you can literally go and sign up today. The best part of these is you get access to our community, right? So you can go, and if you want to run with other men who are crushing it in life, there's tons of guys there that you can jump into a course with, or we even have conferences and events that we do all year long that you can check out. But listen, I want you to go back and think about this. If you don't have a clear plan, if you don't have other guys that you're running with, if you don't have a clear pathway to how do I grow myself as a man? How do I step into my calling? What is my code, my ethos? What does it mean? How do I set healthy boundaries? How do I show up for my wife? How do I do emotion-based communication that creates deep connection in my family, in my marriage? Guys, we lay it out so simply for you. And honestly, I've seen so many men go through this and get complete healing on the other side. So we want to give that to you for free. You can go to braveco.org and sign up today. Welcome back, everybody, to the BraveCo podcast. This week, I have a spiritual father, one of my favorite people on the planet, one of the guys I look up to the most in my life, Danny Silk. Danny, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Buddy, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So many of you guys have read the Dragon Slayer book. A lot of you guys were at the BraveCo conference, in which Danny spoke. So Danny's been on here on the podcast before. Danny carries this incredible wisdom for leadership, for men in leadership, for marriage, counseling. I learned a lot of counseling from Danny. And so I wanted to bring Danny on. This is series 2 of our Lead the Way. It's basically, we've been in this series for you men, learning how to become the husband your family needs. And there's nothing greater on this planet than to have a husband who knows how to show up for his family, lead his marriage well, lead his family well. And so that's really what we're diving into. Danny, thanks for coming on. We're going to dive in a bit. Last week we had Dr. Henry Cloud, and that guy's just a legend, man. Legend. It was so cool to be on
Legendary.
with him.
Yeah. I've never met him. He's a legend.
He's such a cool guy. We talked a lot about identity and boundaries and emotional leadership. And I want to this week talk a little bit more about connection and communication. You know, I was in Alaska this year, and I was chasing moose in this really incredible remote place. You know, you can only get there by bush plane. And I had this this scenario in which there was it was like the 4th night. I could hear this giant bull raking a bunch of brush, and my friend Pat and I ended up going after this bull moose and chasing this moose, and it ended up it was almost dark, and we were like in all this jungle and like the thick alder, and there was like only these tiny little openings, and this bull pushed his way. It's so crazy. This bull pushes his way through the brush, and right before he gets to us, my friend Pat looks at me and he goes, "Hey, do you got your gun on you?" And I was like, "Oh shoot, no." I said, "You got your gun?" He's like, "No, I forgot it back there." So all I have is my bow. So I held my bow up and I was like, "Well, I got this, you know." And we both look at each other like we're so dumb, but we've come this far.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
We've come this far. Yeah. So anyways, we do some raking, and this bull steps out. He's 5 yards away from me. I shoot it in the chest. It charges us after I shoot it. Yeah. We jump in the bushes to get out of the way, and it runs 60 yards and it dies, right? And we're all high-fiving and doing all, you know, doing the stupid stuff that you do. The next morning we woke up and we had to go pack the bull out. And I had this weird thought, you know, like I don't even know why I had this thought. I have like 150 pounds on my back. I'm getting ready to carry it up the hill. And I think, man, shooting this bull, like almost at dark with just my bow and no pistol or anything to back me up, was less scary than facing my wife's emotions.
Totally.
That's literally what I thought on that day in Alaska. My wife's not even around.
Yep.
We're connected. I just went, oh my gosh.
Yep. Scariest thing in the world.
I'd rather do this than to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a buddy, Ron Atkins, he's in the second chapter of The Way of the Dragon Slayer, and he was in prison, and he was surrounded by a rival gang in a cafeteria kind of room. And he had a soup can in a sock, and he was swinging it around, fighting off this
oh my gosh.
group of prison inmates. And he said, the scariest thing I've ever done is talk to my wife. Dude.
It's true, man.
Oh, it's
true.
It's so true.
We all deeply desire to have a relationship in which we're respected, we're trusted, in which we feel confident and capable. I mean, I know for me, like I want to walk in my home and have my wife feel safe with me and feel known by me. And I want to feel really good. Like I just have wanted to be the man that she could count on in a hard situation. And I think deep down, every man has that desire to be the man that your wife counts on in hard times. And yet what I've noticed in what we know to be true is that's not just a desire, that has to come with the skill set.
Yeah.
And also has to come with working on some of the triggers in your life and the fears and being willing to face your fears. And, how I learned communication, a lot of it was one, of course, being married, but when I started to really study it, I mean, you did a series, you've done lots of series on communication, from Brave Communication to the Communication Dance. People Helping People was a great series that you did a long time ago. I'm going back into the archives, and you can tell that I studied this stuff because I didn't write it down in my notes. This is just a part of me. But that's, these are places in my life where I started to realize as a young man, I am running into this thing, this dragon, this place that I am terrified in. And when I don't do it well, I want to fight or run, right? I don't really freeze in this moment. I'm going to either run away from my wife or I'm going to buckle down and fight. And so, I think I want to help men start to learn how to engage and be present and really be able to handle communication and conflict in a way that brings connection. I think that's all what we really want.
Yeah.
And yet it really is such a challenging thing to do. Can you kind of like maybe start in with why is that so hard, and what's kind of the first step into really learning how to do that and into engaging?
Yeah, it's the fear of rejection, the fear of that feeling of disconnection, which includes feeling rejected, and it's just so scary to be disconnected from her. And it's the fear of abandonment or betrayal, so give me a moose, give me a rival gang, give me anything, but don't hurt me that deep, beat me to a pulp, trample me in the alders. But whatever this terror is, and maybe we learned it in childhood, maybe it's just placed there. I don't know what it is, but the fight isn't with her. The fight is to control myself through the conversation. And I think step one is abandon the lie that you control her.
Talk about that.
Abandon the lie that you can get her to do something that's going to make you feel connected, make you feel accepted. Uh, uh, you can control the fear by controlling her. It's just not true. You don't control anybody. On a good day, you can get yourself to do what you told yourself to do. So that's step one in the victory of a hard conversation with anybody, but with her. And then you are now going to do a fantastic job of letting her know about you, not telling her about her, judging her, and then needing her to agree with it, because she never does. She never
Yeah.
agrees with your judgments of her. And this is where the wheels come off. This is how you end up in a 3-4 hour painful conversation, is because your judgment of her feels accurate.
Yeah.
You spent some time thinking thoroughly about what she's doing wrong and what she needs to change. And you're like, she's going to disagree with it out of the box. So I know it doesn't sound very productive or very offensive, like a good offense, but take some time and say, okay, I want to show her anger. I'm trying not to, I think I'm trying to control anger. Like, no, what you're trying to control is truth. Tell her the truth about you. And so this is where you reach in there and you say, I'm hurt, I'm scared, and I feel powerless to do anything about what I saw you be so upset about and what led you to say that you did. I'm hurt, I'm scared, and I feel powerless. Now, that feels vulnerable, and it is, but it's really about stepping into the light so you can be seen, because you're creating a place for her to do the same thing. And if the two of you will stand in the light together, then you can see each other, you can make the necessary adjustments, and you will, because you love her, and she will, because she loves
Yeah.
you. She wants to be connected too, but
Yep.
she doesn't want to be controlled any more than you want to be controlled. So you're creating this place where you can both step into the light together. That's the goal.
What I love about this to me is I was talking earlier to a group of 20 pastors about creating an ecosystem of health. And which is, it's what we all really want. We all really want a life in which I look at the different areas, my relationship with my wife, my kids, my job. I have this ecosystem of health. And we often tend to, in our attempt to create a healthy ecosystem, we want to control.
Yeah.
If I could get you to do what I want you to do, I will be okay. And you will too. You're going to like what I'm thinking. You're going to love. And in that place of control really just shows our powerlessness, right?
Yeah.
It is manifesting outwardly how powerless I feel internally. And I think that that's maybe one of the, like you said, this first place to stop is to go in your relationship, in this conflict. How powerful do you feel to talk about you, to actually express what it is that you need and what you're going through in a world in which emotions were shamed and smashed down, and needs were made fun of, or maybe not met with health? Men have really been left kind of wondering, how do I even find a need and how do I communicate a need? And then you get put into a marriage in which, oh my gosh, the whole thing is the whole game is, can I talk about me? Can I show the need that I have? Can I talk about my emotions? Can I build this deep emotional connection? And what you're saying, Danny, is so true. If I can let go of my need to control her in trust, that's the big word, in trust that if she sees me, if I can go, wow, last night when I came in and we had a really great dinner, and afterwards I I asked you if you'd like to make love, and you said, "Ooh, I'm not really into that right now." I felt so sad. I felt so sad. I was so excited. We had a great dinner. I was feeling really connected. It's been 3 days. I miss you. If I can do that, right? She can see me, she can understand where I'm at, and she could go, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense." This judgment piece, the control turns out to be judgment.
Yeah.
And it turns into this massive amount of defensiveness now where we're no longer looking at the need. We're trying to escape this judge and this verdict going, "You're wrong, I'm right, you win, you lose." And I think that win lose in the relationship is something that we have to abandon at all costs and get back down to step one, like you're saying, is this belief system that on a good day, I control me.
Yeah.
On a bad day, I wish I would have controlled me, and I'm doing my best to clean up the mess.
I'm out of control.
I'm out of control, yeah. And so learning how the step 2 that you were saying, Danny, learning how to communicate in a way that allows her to hear you, to see you, and to respond to you is really the key. Did I give her something in which she can hear me, see me, and respond to?
Yeah, we both know that when you target shoot, especially distant, you don't use paper targets for any kind of satisfaction.
Yeah.
You wanna hear the ding, right? I wanna
Yep.
hear the
Put that
ding.
steel up there.
Yeah, come on. Let me hear the report of that shot. And if I don't know how to set up my needs in my relationship, she really has A, nothing to shoot at, and then B, no
Mm,
clue as to whether or not she's being effective. It's a two-way,
yeah.
it's two-way, but lead. Lead by showing her your experience of her and then set up the targets of this is what I need to feel. I felt rejected when you didn't want to make love.
Mm,
I felt so hurt. I so want to connect with you. And I felt abandoned in what I thought was this beautiful evening together. And we were connected, and then boom, we're disconnected. That hurt so bad. And it did make me sad. I need to feel connected to you. I need to feel
yeah.
your love. And then
Yes.
shut your mouth. Grab a pair of socks, the
Yeah.
big wool
Yeah.
hunting socks, and shove them in your mouth. Stick
Yeah.
those things in your mouth so you don't keep talking, because if you keep talking, you'll start manipulating.
Yeah, it's great. Guys, the pro tip here is we're gonna give you a line, a sentence. It's I felt, and then what's that emotion in there?
Mhm.
Sad, mad, angry, glad, whatever. I felt emotion when, and then this happened, right? It's fact. It's not a judgment. It's not when you always. It's when fact. And then I need blank.
I
I
need
need to
to feel.
feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need to feel. Yeah. And what that's going to do, if you get really good at that, it's going to give her that target.
yeah.
It's going to help her. The other side of the coin is when you get really good at that, well, that becomes this really incredible tool that she has high emotions. She's coming in hot, and you're able to go, "Hey, hold on. I love you. I really care for you. Sounds like you needed something from me. Can you tell me about you?" Right? So if you get really good at this process, this is like half the game. It's like knowing how to pass the ball, or it's like knowing how to dribble, or whatever. It's like if you understand this concept, I don't control you, you don't control me. This isn't judge, jury. We're scientists here. We're trying to go, "Oh, tell me about what created that eruption in you." Or, "Man, tell me about this fizzle I'm seeing." It's like, "Oh, I felt blank when I need to feel blank." all of a sudden you have a highway of communication back and forth in which we can both see, hear, understand, and hit these targets. And it just makes it so clear. Go for it.
Yeah. The gift that if you can get good at doing this, A, identify what you're feeling, B,
Yeah.
courageously step into the light, C, set up a target. You practice that. What begins to happen is you now can listen better than she's talking. When she comes at you with a you can listen right past that for how she experiencing you.
It's
What is
great.
she feeling? And what's it connected to? And then you can explore, what does she need to feel? You can demonstrate that, and she will say, oh my gosh, you are listening to me. This is such an amazing feeling to have someone see me. And
Yeah.
anxiety begins to drop. Now, it may not the first 5 times you do it because she doesn't actually believe it. And she's
Yeah. She's scared.
so used to the judgment punishment thing that you've done before, where conversations last for hours. An effective exchange of truth takes minutes. So if you're in this thing for, I'll say half an hour, if you're still doing this a half hour later, you're messing up. You're doing it wrong. This takes minutes to communicate what you got going on and what you need to have going on, and or to listen to what she's got going on and what she needs to have going on. And what I need to feel is different than what I need you to do.
Yeah.
Need you to do is control and manipulation. If I did that, honey, how would you feel? She'd feel, well, I'd feel good. Okay, unpack good for me. Well, I'd feel like you love me and you listened to me and you valued me. Okay, so you need to be listened to, valued, and that would be, you would feel loved. Yeah. Like, okay, that feels hurtful when you shake your head when you talk at me. He goes, yes. Thank
See, what I love is that you said, eventually we get better at listening. I listen better than she is talking.
Yeah.
We get really good if you can posture yourself in a place where you don't feel like you have to control her. And I don't feel like I have to somehow win this argument, right? Because the first winner really is the first loser here. If you win the argument, what do you really win? A whole night of disconnection and loneliness. Congratulations. But the real win is coming to a place where she feels safe, seen, and known. She feels understood, right? She can, even if you don't agree 100% on, it's not about agreement. And I think that you've talked a lot about this before, is I'm not trying to get you to agree. We're not trying to come to this place of, okay, now we both agree that my mind and your mind are the same, they're equals. Again, that's how you're going to argue for endless amounts of time. But where I can really understand, right? To seek to understand is a phrase that you coined a long time ago. And that looks like, hey, tell me about that. It looks like staying in the pocket. This is what I tell guys all the time. Like, one of the best things that you can do as a quarterback is to allow your offensive line to protect you, right? You've got all these guys trying to crush you and hunt you down and kill you, and you're staying in the pocket of protection. You're hanging in there, feels scary, but you're looking for that pass to make. It feels a lot like that.
Yeah.
She's talking, she's frustrated, there's tension, and you're seeking, okay, well, tell me about that, babe. Hey, love, please just talk about you. Don't talk about me. I really want to hear where you're at, right? You're making some plays,
Yeah.
but you're looking to hit that target, which is when you can repeat back to her what it is that she's really feeling and ask some questions around that. Now you have a clear target to hit, and you're back into, like, we're doing this communication dance.
Yeah.
Which, what's the goal of this? The goal is connection. The goal is not agreement. The goal isn't peace, because agreement, I can manipulate. Peace, I can aim guns and missiles and do all that kinds of stuff. But the goal is connection.
Yeah.
And so if I can really understand, if I can seek to understand, if I can help her create this safe place where she doesn't have to get it right perfectly, and we can create some flexibility in there, then it just helps us to be able to be in this conflict together. Now we're in a conflict that's actually really productive. I love that, Danny.
Yeah. And
That
if, the goal is connection, and the environment is this emotionally safe spot. So you're going to step into this emotionally safe space and say, join me.
yeah.
And then when she says, I don't trust you, you demonstrate that you're going to control yourself, and you're going to see her. And before she knows it, she has stepped into this space. And this is where we can actually make a loving, intimate connection, is when the anxiety has drained out of the disconnect or the disagreement, and we see each other, and love is what fills that spot. When we
Mm,
disconnect, fear fills that spot, and so we run for the hills. So you be the
yeah.
first one. Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, is the move, because I'm called to set the standard. Now, that standard is there to create an invitation. And what we tend to do is we tend to wait for her to do it. It's
Mhm.
not her job. She's not built for that. She's not built for 5 yards off a bull moose's chest. She's not built
Yeah.
for that.
No,
You are. Get out there, stand there, and invite her.
I really love it. I it's one of our jobs. I remember you telling me this. One of the main roles of a man is to bring peace to chaos. And I always believe that, like my dad taught me to open the door for a woman. And in a relationship, we learn to open this door, but I always just believe that a man's never supposed to stop opening the door emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm always going to be the one that steps in, that that evacuates danger from the room, that brings a place of peace and safety and comfort, and allows my wife to blossom. As soon as my wife has to play the masculine role, the one that's setting the boundaries, the one that's protecting the peace, the one that's confronting the anger and the fear, now she's in a role that she was never designed for. And you're going to feel like you're talking to a mom because you're acting like a boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that,
Just imagine, you're going into a room and you think something dangerous is in there, and you open the door and you say, "Honey, go in there."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
it's never going to happen, right? And what men miss is how much fear women wake up with. They just
Yes,
wake
it's
up
great.
like how many deer have you walked up to in a field and pet like a dog? Zero.
Zero.
Zero. Well, women are like deer. That is how they wake up in the morning. Is they're so afraid, and because they are prey. They're prey on this planet. Women and children are
Yes.
prey. And if men do not show up with that masculine protection and that courage and that leadership, then they are left to fend for themselves. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a whole bunch of ladies out there had to fend for themselves right up until they got married.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk through, all of us, you and me included, have been in a conversation in which you're triggered. It's not going well. You can tell that it's ramping up. It's a real pain point. Danny, what's your go-to tool there for that?
Well, A, I'm controlling myself. B, I'm stepping into the light. I'm telling her about me. I'm not telling her about her. Now she goes off and she's telling me about me, and she got through my armor. I'm not listening
Mhm.
better than she's talking. And so I can just say, if you're done listening, then I'll be done talking. When you tell her about you, there's a follow-up in there, which is, what did you hear me say?
Yeah, it's great.
What did you hear me say? And she says, well, you said that I'm stupid and dumb and, idiot and no brain. Like, oh, you think I said 4 things that make you subhuman? I'm sorry. Okay. That's not what I said. Here, look, can I try again? And you say it again, and I'm going to tell you about me. Honey, I didn't say one thing about you. Oh, you did. Okay, hey, honey, if you're done listening, I'm done talking.
That's great.
And now there's a boundary that communicates, honey, I will not participate in any disrespectful exchanges in our relationship. I'm only committed to the highest level of respectful exchanges. That's the only place you will find me, ever. I will never have a disrespectful exchange with you for the rest of my life. And I control that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. The beauty about a boundary is that your boundary was to protect your love, to protect your relationship, right? It's actually creates this safe place of complete power and empowerment. And so again, with that example, Danny's not setting a boundary about what she's going to do.
No.
He's setting a boundary about what he's going to do. And that's where we mess it up often, right? I set a boundary and I say, Danny, you're going to stop talking or you can't be in this house, right? And all of a sudden I'm back to controlling him, in which now we're in a power struggle. Now we're in a bigger fight. It's, hey, listen, I've had times in my marriage before where Lauren is ramped up and I'm going, hey, babe, hey, love, hey, babe, I love you. I love you. I can't do the conversation like this. So that's usually my go-to. I love you. I can't do the conversation like this. Can we take a step back and start again? If she doesn't, my next thing is, hey, love, I can't do the conversation like this. It actually doesn't work for me. So I'm going to be in the garage. I'm going to tie some flies. Feel free to let me know when you're ready. I think the key here is when she's ready to engage again, I'm not ready to punish her. I'm ready to hear and listen. I'm removing the punishment from the relationship and I'm coming back in to go, okay, cool. How can I hear you again? What I've learned over the years, again, through tons of your coaching, through reading the Boundaries book, I think every man should read the Boundaries book, honestly, just the original Boundaries. It's got the pencil line, Dr. Henry Cloud and Townsend. Is when you start to understand boundaries, it's a lifesaver for your kids too, because I'm not in this place where my kids are yelling at me and now I have to control them. I actually get to tell the world around me, my bosses, my coworkers, my wife, this is what I can and can't do. This is what I will and won't do. And I remove myself from the powerlessness of trying to tell everybody else what they're going to do. I think in the middle of a conflict, when you realize things are getting hotter than what you want to be able to handle, no one can hear each other, raising up that white flag and going, hey, this is no longer productive. I care for you. I love you. I can't do it at this level. And bringing it back down with that boundary is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing about a boundary practice is everything in here is thriving.
Yeah.
Anything that compromises that, it is removed. And so disrespect, irresponsibility, accusation, blame, any of that stuff, I will not participate in that. So that's my behavior communicates what I'm protecting. And if what I'm protecting is my ego, my win-loss record, my identity, if I'm protecting myself from my wife, then I got some work to do. I got some work to do to take that out of valuable. Like, okay, this cannot be more valuable than her being in here, than my children being in here. That's what I'm protecting. And everything in here is nourished and cherished and benefits from being close to me, unless I'm protecting the wrong things.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that I learned over the years, I think it was John Gottman who threw out this tool, was whenever you're engaging in a conflict, he says how you start the conversation will decide how it ends, with 80% accuracy. And you would say, the hero sandwich. But what I've used over the years is, if I'm going to have a challenging conversation with Lauren or anybody else, I always think, how do I want this to end? I grab that piece and I move it to the beginning. So that's my go-to. I want to end connected. I want her to feel loved and cared for. I really want us to not be stuck in this painful spot. I'm going to grab that. That's going to be my opening piece. Hey, love. I know last night was really hard. I want you to feel cared for and loved. And I ultimately want us to not be stuck in this really painful spot. Last night, I felt really sad right? That's my ramp up, my slow ramp up to, it's like, if you've ever preached before, if you have a really good start, the chances are your message is going to go pretty smooth. If you have a rocky start, man, you're you're halfway through the sermon and you're still trying to get off the ground and you're like, oh my gosh. And if you learn, it's why preachers tell a joke in the beginning. It's why they tell a couple funny stories. You get loosened up. That's what you're trying to do inside of this conflict. Both of you are a little bit nervous. You're trying to take it from, man, it's hard enough to do conflict when you're not nervous and scared. It's really hard when you're cold and things are nervous and tensions are high. And so if you can bring it down here and you're going, I care for you. I love you. I want the best for you. My heart tonight is that you would hear me say, I want to move towards you. I'm having a really hard time. I feel scared when blank. Guys, if you could practice that, if you're, instead of, when you walk around and you're cooking dinner and you're fighting your wife in your mind, we've all been there before. When you catch yourself doing that, go to, I'm in the middle of an argument. I'm actually in the middle of a war. Wow, I've been battling my wife all day. I need to actually shift to, what is it that I need? What is it that's hurting? But what's my soft startup? And I really think about it. I practiced that for a long time, and it really helped to change my conflicts.
That's great. That's, you just imagine if you load that 150 pounds on your back, and you got to hike through the alders up the hill. And the first couple of steps you go, oh crap, I got a rock in my boot. And you don't stop right there and unload everything and take that little rock out of your shoe. You're going to be a mess. And then even when you do take that rock out, you're still going to be a mess.
Yeah, it's true. Being able to stay connected in the middle of conflict is the whole goal of conflict, is to help strengthen your connection. Conflict was never meant to tear us down. And I know a lot of us grew up in families and relationships. You shared some of your story, Danny, last time you were on the podcast. I'd encourage people. My dad grew up in a home where conflict was beatings. I mean, it literally led to him being physically abused and emotionally abused. And so for a lot of men, conflict is war. We are armored up. We come into it prepared, for this battle. I'm fighting somebody who wants to really hurt me. And the people that hurt me the most in my life were the people that were closest to me. They're sleeping next door. And we were wired. We just have this wiring, this deep sense of dread inside of conflict. You've never been in a conflict before that led to deep connection. And so for a lot of us men, we're having to learn how to do something that really is second nature. And it's not your fault. It is your responsibility. And so now we have this opportunity, right, to think through, what is it that I want my family to experience in this ecosystem? I want my sons, my dad used to tell me all the time, he would say, you can talk to me. You can share what you're feeling. You can talk about, maybe you can even talk about how you don't like a decision I've made, but you can't talk to me disrespectfully. And he set the stage for us to have these push pulls. And ultimately, here's what happens in your marriage. When you can have hard communication, when I know I can do conflict with you, you take the rigidity out of your relationship and you create a flexibility inside of your relationship. If you think about it, a relationship that's rigid, a human being that's rigid, when something out of the blue happens, oh, we were going to go here, but now we're going to go there. You see kids that are really rigid in transition. Every transition is a breaking point because there's not a lot of flexibility. Inside of your marriage, what you're trying to create is as much flexibility as possible. And that looks like I have the tool set, I have the skills to hang in there, right? You talked about it a lot, Danny, with I'm the only one that could hold on to my end of the connection. You don't get to decide whether or not I hold on to this connection. And, we've done a lot of it, examples where we've got a toilet paper connection and just a little bit of just, ah,
Yeah.
but we really are trying to create that winch steel cable connection that says, I can pull you all the way over here and you can pull me all the way over there. That's the relationship that we all want. For us men, it really is focusing on, okay, if you've had a bad past with this, you have to tool up.
Yeah.
You have to do the work of practicing. You're never going to hit that. This is a 1,000-yard target. Honestly, brave communication inside of conflict that brings connection is a 1,000-yard target. It's so doable. And honestly, it's so easy if you practice. If you don't practice, it is absolutely unfathomable and impossible.
Yeah. You got to have the right dope.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said about beginning with the end in mind kind of a thing, Stephen Covey stuff is,
Yeah.
I draw the house before I break ground,
Yeah.
there is and if you present the hope, then she doesn't have to make it up,
Yeah. That's great. I love that.
so even in the middle of it, I remember, gosh, probably I don't know, at least 7 years ago. I don't even really remember what the problem was, but Sherry and I were so severely disconnected about something stupid that I can't even remember what it was. And we were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this, master communicator here is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I I remember her saying, I don't know if our relationship's going to survive this. And
Yeah.
I said, what? There's none of that. There's no crying in baseball. Like what's happening right now? And I dug deep. I dug way down into the architecture room and I pulled out. I said, I know this is really hard right now. And I know that we're scaring each other, but my goal with you is connection.
Yes.
And as soon as I said that, it was like the spirit of fear left the room.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what to say right after that, but she stopped in her tracks and I stood there with the dream house in my hands, holding it up.
Yes.
Like this,
The matador of dragons.
This is where I'm going with you, baby.
Yeah.
And it,
Yes.
and it changed the whole spirit of the conversation. Just saying, my goal with you is connection.
It's true. Lauren and I had a similar experience. This year we went to go for a nice walk and we were going to do one loop around this beautiful place at the sundial, and we got 20 steps into it, and we were, man, thick into a whole world of pain. And oh my gosh, it was so amazing because what was really awesome was we're in the middle of it, and I'm going like, oh, we're going to have to take another lap. We are not going to solve this. We did one whole lap of us going, hold on. I want to hear you. I want to hear what you're saying. I want to hear, I don't want to be judged like that. I can't actually do that. And it took 2 go-arounds of, it took 40 minutes of like, hold on. I love you. I want to hear you. I can't do it like this. And lots of silent walking, 4 minutes of nothing, and then a soft startup again, and then some pain and some, but that's the flexibility that we're talking about, right? That is the cool spot, is when you get to a point where you've done enough reps, even just practice with yourself and even practice with the different parts. Okay, I'm going to talk about me. I'm going to share what I need, and I'm going to talk about myself. And I missed it yesterday. I didn't start soft. And when you start to do that, eventually the fear of what's going to happen at the end is gone. I know what's going to happen at the end. What's going to happen at the end with Sherry. You're not sure how long it's going to take there every time, but at the end that we are going to navigate our way. I have a compass. I get in a storm. I may not be able to get to this spot straight, but I will end up at the spot of deep connection, her feeling cared, seen, loved, nurtured. And man, it is the best way to do life. All of a sudden I want to go home. All of a sudden I'm not afraid of the conflict. It's a place in which I know that we can thrive. And for every man, that is what we want. That's why we're doing this series, is we're helping you go, hey guys, a dull knife is still a knife, but it's not a fun knife. We want you to learn how to sharpen this knife. And we're telling you, if you learn the right angle, and you learn how to switch grits, and you learn how to maintain and sharpen this knife, you will have a tool that you don't fight. You will have a tool that's no longer scary. You will have a tool that you can keep with you for the rest of your life. Once you know how to sharpen your knife, you have a tool for the rest of your life.
And it's never convenient to take time to sharpen the knife.
It's true. So this is one of those things that I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said, if you gave me 8 hours to chop down a tree, I would use 6 of them sharpening the axe.
100%.
And this is one of those. If you sharpen the axe on conflict, communication, healthy boundaries, and needs, if you do that, it's what you do every day. It's every relationship that you have. It is your whole ecosystem is held upon some of these major pillars, and learning how to become a master. No one ever looks at the guy who can sharpen his knife like a master and go, why did you waste all that time? You're like, show me how to do that. That's what we're looking at. Danny, thank you so much, man, for coming on here, and for giving us these tips and tools, and for honestly just the years of paving the way. If you guys have not read The Dragon Slayer, or The Matador of Dragons, that's his, what is it? Yeah, Portuguese version. You guys really need to jump in there to take a look at that book. It's incredible. It talks about the different dragons in our lives, and how we need to face those, conquer those. It's a fantastic book. But guys, please share this marriage series with your friends. Leave a comment if you want to on our podcast or review. It helps us a bunch. But Danny, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure, buddy. I'm so proud of you, and so appreciate all that you're doing. So happy to be.
Thanks, man. BraveCo men, stay brave this week. We'll see you next week. Hey, BraveCo men. Hopefully you loved this week's episode. Listen, if you have not subscribed to our podcast, you are already behind. Go ahead and click right here to subscribe to our podcast. And if you have not watched last week's episode, you can click right here and watch last week's episode. And listen, if you want to upgrade your wardrobe, you can check out some of our new hats that we have in stock and all our other swag. Go to braveco.org and you can look at our store there. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.